As we grow older, relationships change. But what happens when a wife, after decades of marriage, starts feeling distant from her husband? What causes a woman who once adored her partner to slowly withdraw, to lose that spark, to feel indifferent? It's a reality that many couples face, but few talk about: the slow fading of affection, the subtle shifts in behavior, the quiet frustration that builds over time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's the accumulation of years of unmet needs, unspoken words, and unnoticed moments. The reason is not always what you imagine. It's not simply about falling out of love, it's about redefining what love should feel like, and very often it comes down to practical realities. Today we're going to explore the reasons why women, as they get older, start feeling differently about their husbands, and what can be done to change it before it's too late. If you're a husband, a wife, or someone curious about long-term relationships, stay with me until the end. This may change the way you see love, aging, and marriage forever. Welcome back to the Female Health Podcast, where we talk openly and honestly about the intimate challenges women face. I'm Dr. Lia Parker, a woman intimate psychologist and gynecologist, and for more than 30 years I've listened to women share their most personal struggles about marriage, aging, and connection. What makes this topic so important is how universal it is. Whether you've been married 5 years or 50, the patterns we'll uncover apply to almost everyone. The only difference is whether couples notice them early enough to do something about it, or whether they wake up one day to find that the distance has already taken root. By shining a light on these hidden dynamics, we give ourselves the chance to stop love from fading into habit. For many women, this shift begins quietly. It might be in the way she notices small habits that once felt endearing, now feel irritating, or in the moments where she longs for companionship but finds only silence. These small cracks, almost invisible at first, grow wider over time, and unless they are addressed, they eventually reshape the way she feels about her marriage. It's rarely about one big fight or one single disappointment. Instead, it's the 1,000 little moments when she felt ignored, when her needs went unnoticed, when her voice seemed too small to matter. Over years, these moments collect like drops of water, until the weight of them begins to overflow. That's when a woman looks back and realizes she feels a million miles away from the man sitting right beside her. What I've learned is this: marriage isn't undone by one big betrayal or a single mistake most of the time. Instead, it's the slow erosion, the daily moments when love isn't nourished, when gratitude isn't expressed, when connection isn't prioritized. That's why it's so important to notice these patterns before they become permanent. Because here's the truth: love is not self-sustaining. It doesn't simply survive because two people once said "I do." It needs attention, energy, and care. Without those, even the strongest marriages begin to crack, not because love isn't real, but because love wasn't fed. Number 1, the emotional labor becomes too heavy. For years, many women take on the role of the emotional caretaker in their marriage. They remember birthdays, plan family gatherings, schedule doctor appointments, and manage the household. But as they get older, they realize that this invisible work has drained them. And here's the hard truth: most men don't even notice it's happening. Women begin to feel as if they are carrying the marriage on their shoulders, while their husbands simply live within it. This imbalance doesn't just cause exhaustion, it chips away at respect. A woman may begin to see her husband not as an equal partner, but as another responsibility, and when the man she married feels like one more task on her to-do list, the emotional bond begins to unravel. Respect is the foundation of desire. When a woman no longer respects her husband as a partner, attraction fades, intimacy weakens, and love starts to feel more like duty than joy. Once that shift happens, it takes conscious effort from both sides to rebuild balance and admiration. Number 2, a lack of meaningful communication. In the early years, conversations are full of curiosity. How was your day? What are you thinking about? Tell me your dreams. But over time, many husbands stop engaging in deep, meaningful conversations with their wives. Instead, the dialogue becomes repetitive, shallow, or in some cases, almost non-existent. A woman longs for emotional intimacy as much as companionship. Without it, she feels unseen, unheard, and unappreciated. When words fade, so does connection. Communication is the bridge that keeps two people moving together through life. Without it, they drift in silence, each living parallel lives under the same roof, but no longer truly sharing them. And here's the danger: silence doesn't just feel empty, it can feel like rejection. When she tries to share and is met with indifference, the message she receives is that she doesn't matter. Over time, this silence becomes louder than any argument could ever be. Number 3. The burden of housework never ends. One of the most common frustrations women share in long-term marriages is the never-ending cycle of housework. Studies show that even in modern households, women still handle the majority of chores, even long after retirement. By their senior years, many women are simply tired of it. What starts as small annoyances, dirty dishes in the sink, clothes left out, eventually grows into deep resentment. The question forms quietly but firmly: why am I still the one doing everything? And here's the deeper issue. Chores are never just about chores. They're about fairness, partnership, and respect. When one person feels consistently taken for granted, it's not the dishes she's resenting, it's the dynamic. When fairness is absent, love feels transactional. A sink full of dishes becomes a symbol of neglect. A pile of laundry becomes proof of imbalance. What she craves is not just a cleaner house, but the reassurance that her partner sees her, values her, and shares the load. Number 4. She outgrows the relationship, but he doesn't. As women age, many seek new horizons. They want to travel, learn, expand, and engage with the world in fresh ways. But if their husband refuses to evolve, to grow with them, they begin to feel stuck, as if they're outgrowing the marriage itself. If a woman feels she is moving forward while her partner remains unchanged, the emotional distance between them widens, and with time that gap can feel unbridgeable. Growth is essential to love. When two people stop growing together, they stop dreaming together, and without shared dreams, the relationship begins to feel like a cage rather than a partnership. A marriage without growth feels like standing still while life keeps moving, and for a woman who longs to keep discovering herself, stagnation feels like suffocation. She doesn't just want a husband, she wants a partner in evolution. Number 5. A loss of physical and emotional intimacy. Intimacy is more than physical closeness. It's about being emotionally connected and truly desired. Over time, many couples lose that spark, and for a woman, this can feel like a painful signal that love is slipping away. If she no longer feels wanted, no longer feels that her husband sees her as he once did, she begins to pull away emotionally. And here's the truth: intimacy doesn't fade with age unless you allow it to. Desire thrives on attention, on presence, on small gestures that say, "You still matter to me." Without these, physical touch becomes rare, and emotional touch disappears altogether. Even small acts, a gentle hand squeeze, a compliment, a moment of undistracted attention, can reignite connection. Intimacy is not about grand passion alone, it's about daily signals that remind her she is still loved, still desired, still chosen. Number 6. Retirement changes everything, but not always for the better. Retirement is often imagined as the golden chapter of life, filled with travel, relaxation, and companionship. But for many couples, it becomes a source of tension. Why? Because suddenly they spend all their time together, and many men struggle to adjust. Too often, men enter retirement without a plan. They go from working full-time to drifting through their days. Sadly, this leaves the wife expected to fill his time, his entertainment, his companionship, his structure. For a woman who has managed responsibilities her whole life, this shift can feel suffocating. Instead of freedom, retirement sometimes feels like another cage. Without separate interests, hobbies, or friendships, a woman may feel trapped in a life she never wanted, and that resentment can slowly eat away at love. Couples who thrive in retirement are often those who maintain independence, separate passions, friendships, and goals. Without these, retirement can feel less like a reward and more like a burden. The happiest couples in retirement are not those who spend every waking hour together, but those who balance togetherness with individuality. Space to breathe, to grow, to explore separately often makes the shared moments richer and more meaningful. Number 7. She no longer feels heard or appreciated. One of the most painful experiences in marriage isn't fighting, it's feeling invisible. After years of being the family's emotional backbone, many women reach a point where they feel like their voices no longer matter. They express concerns, share feelings, try to connect, yet their husbands don't truly listen. A wife doesn't crave grand gestures, she craves acknowledgement. She needs to know that her thoughts and emotions still hold weight with the man she's spent decades beside. When that validation disappears, she begins to withdraw. And once she pulls back emotionally, it is very difficult to return. This silence can be more destructive than any argument, because arguments at least show passion, energy, and care. Silence, on the other hand, signals resignation, and resignation is what kills love. When appreciation is gone, even the strongest woman begins to wonder why she stays. Gratitude costs nothing, yet it has the power to save everything. A kind word, a simple thank you, or an acknowledgement of effort can sometimes heal wounds that silence has deepened. Number 8. She realizes life is short and she wants more. With age comes perspective. Friends pass away, funerals become more frequent, and the awareness of limited time sharpens. Many women begin to look at their marriage with new eyes. She asks herself, am I happy? Do I feel cherished? Is this how I want to spend the rest of my years? If the answers don't bring peace, she may begin to retreat, not out of anger, but out of self-preservation. Some women reach a place where they no longer argue or beg for attention. Instead, they focus on themselves. And if their husband doesn't meet them halfway, the emotional detachment grows deeper. This is why some women, even after decades of marriage, stop trying, not because they don't care, but because they realize they deserve more than simply existing in someone else's life. This awakening isn't always about leaving, it's about redefining. Sometimes it means finding new ways to connect, sometimes it means creating boundaries, and sometimes it means choosing a new path. But always it comes from the deep truth that life is too precious to live half-loved. This moment of awakening can be terrifying, but also liberating. It forces a woman to decide, will she settle for survival, or will she demand joy? The answer to that question can determine whether a marriage is renewed, or whether it quietly ends in emotional distance. As we move into the later years of life, relationships aren't about grand gestures, they're about presence, kindness, and respect. When a woman begins to feel distant from her husband, it is rarely because she has simply stopped loving him. More often, it's because she no longer feels seen, valued, or cherished. This is the quiet story of many marriages. Love doesn't vanish in one dramatic moment, it fades in the unnoticed ones. In the moments when she feels unheard, in the years when she carries burdens alone, in the times when she looks for support and finds only silence. But does it have to be this way? No. Love is a choice. Just as it can fade, it can also be reignited. If you're a husband listening, ask yourself, when was the last time you truly listened to your wife? When was the last time you showed her appreciation, not just as your partner, but as a whole person? And if you're a wife feeling disconnected, is there space to rebuild that bridge? Marriage is not about reaching a final destination. It's about choosing each other again and again, even as the years reshape you. It's about small, steady gestures that whisper, I still see you, I still value you, you still matter. If you take one truth away from this video, let it be this: love is not lost with age. It is only lost when we stop tending to it. If you want your relationship to stay alive in your later years, it's never too late to begin again. Choose love, choose understanding, and most importantly, choose each other. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care of yourself and your relationships. They are the greatest treasures we have in this life.